We just went over inserting tables in our last video. So this video, we will finish off our working with data segment by talking about charts. And for this demonstration, we will be using the example of movie ratings. To insert a chart, you would go over to Insert and hover above Charts. Now you can see that we have four options. We can add a bar graph, a column graph, a line graph, or a pie graph. Since we are doing a graph on movie ratings, I will choose the pie chart option. When you click on it, a little random sample graph should show up with some data already inputted. To change the chart so it actually reflects your own data and information, go over to this arrow button and go to Open Source. Now, this should open up a new window where it will link you to a Google Sheets. And here, just wait for it to load. This is where you can go and change the data to reflect your own, as well as change the titles, axes, and just make it so the chart is yours. So I will go ahead and change all of this to reflect the data that I will get off of IMDb. And we will be back in 3, 2, 1. All right, so here you can see that I have transferred all the data off of IMDb onto my Google Sheets now, and my graph will automatically reflect whatever I put down. So now that we have our new graph, we can go back to our Google Slides and you will see this update button. So click on that and your new chart should now appear. This is how simple working with data, whether tables or charts, can be. In this video, we will go over shapes and lines. To add a shape, we will go to this top where you see this circle overlapping a square. When you click on it, you will see four categories: shapes, arrows, callouts, and equations. So for this demonstration, I will choose a callout and this dot bubble one. Now it's really easy. You simply hold and drag until it reaches the size you want. Now, for some shapes, there will be this yellow diamond piece that lets you edit that specific part of the shape even more. I can go ahead and drag it out, drag it to the left, or drag it to the right, and just make edits to the shape until I am satisfied with how my dot bubble looks. We can also make this dot bubble look a lot nicer by changing the fill color. So go up to the bucket icon again, and I will choose this light green. Next up, we can even mess around with the border. So this icon over here dictates the border color. We can make it stand out by choosing this blue color and going over to this icon to increase the border weight to, let's say, 3. Something else that we can do with borders is that we can change how they look. So if you go over to this icon right next to the border weight, you can see that we can choose to have a solid line, a dotted line, a dashed line, and a whole bunch of in-betweens. This is how easy using shapes can be. Now that we are content with our shape, let's move on to lines. The lines icon is the one right next to the shape icon. If you click on the down arrow, you will see a bunch of different options. So we have line, arrow, connectors, curve, polyline, and scribble. And these work all essentially the same way as shapes does. You can just click, hold, and drag in the direction that you want until it reaches the size that you want. I also want to quickly talk about scribbles, which is the last option. Now, I think that this is a quite interesting tool because you are basically using your mouse as a pen. So whatever you draw will become a line. So I can just do a bunch of loops, and now it is a line. Just like shapes, we can also manipulate the border aspect of the lines as well. So let's make it thicker, change the color, and change the way it looks. And this is how you can insert and customize your shapes and lines. Now I know that when most people think of the Shapes tool, they don't think that it's that useful. However, it is actually one of my most used tools when making a presentation. This is because you can use shapes to build a bunch of different things. For example, I will show you how to make an easy but nice looking way to showcase numeric data. You will start off by heading over to Shapes and choosing this donut one. Then you will drag it and right click, go to Format option. Once you go to Size and Rotation, you will go and enter in the same number for the width and the height. So for example, I will just write 2. A tip for making the width and the height the same size is to press the Shift key when making the shape. So this works for making circles and squares. But I just happen to use the Format option more because I get to input specific size measurements. Now I will go over to the yellow diamond and make the inner hole bigger until I like the dimension of the donut. Now I will change the fill color to a light gray color and make the border transparent. And once we're done with this, we can move on to the next part, which is adding another shape. This time we will use the semi-donut shape. So just drag it out and head over to your format options again. I will input the same width and height as our donut. So for me, it will be 2. Once your dimensions are the same, place this new semi-donut on top of your regular donut and play around with the yellow diamond until you get the same inner dimension. Now I will right click, go to rotate, and choose rotate clockwise 90. This is because I like to count from 0 at this starting point. But this is how you can show your numeric data, and you can use this yellow diamond to play around and help you indicate your percentage. So let's say my statistic was 70%. So I can move this yellow toggle until I get to around where I think 70% would be. Then I will head over, change my fill color, and make my border transparent. Now in the middle, I will go in and insert a text box. That way the audience can actually see the numeric data. So let's exit out of our format option and insert our text box. 70, let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's say 35, and bring the alignment to the middle. Now I will put it here, and then I can insert another text box that says percent. Make the alignment in the middle and bring it here. Then I will just go and try to make it look nice. Let's move this up just a little bit more. Now you can call it quits here, but I will actually go in and add another shape around it. So I will head back up to shapes and choose this teardrop one. Then we will go back to format options go to size, and make it just a little bit bigger than what our circle was. So for me, I will just choose 2.25. Now let's make our fill color transparent and change our border and our border width. I will then rotate it so the teardrop part is facing the bottom, and I can center it around my numeric data. Then at the bottom of wherever the teardrop is pointing, I will go in and add a text box and write in whatever that numeric statistic or numeric data is for. So this is actually one of my go-to ways to showcase numeric data. I can also quickly show another super easy method. So let's head back up to our shapes tool, and this time we will just make a regular circle. So drag it out, right click, and go to format option. Once again, we will make the width and the height the same size. So I will just continue using 2. Now that we have our dimensions done, we can go work on our fill color by making it this light gray and making our border transparent. Next, it is time to add in the shape that will actually portray the numeric data. So let's go back up to shapes and choose this Pac-Man one. So drag it out, right click, go to format option again, and this time your width and your height should be a little bit smaller than the dimensions of the circle. So for this one, I will put 1.5. Exit out of format option, and we can make our fill color our blue and make our border transparent. Now once again, I like to start counting from 0 here and for the graph to move clockwise. So I will right click, hover above rotate, and choose rotate counterclockwise 90. Now we can just drag our new Pac-Man on top of our circle and center it. Okay. Next up is putting in the percentage. So you can either make a text box, type in 75%. Let's make it a little bit bigger, as well as change the font color to white, bold it, and change the alignment to the middle. So you can drag it up and place it on your graph. And then on the bottom, you can insert another text box and you will write 75% blah, 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 blah. Or you can just not have any writing on top and just include the 75% in your text box under the graph or to the side of the graph. So I hope that you enjoyed these 2 really quick and easy ways to showcase numeric data. While these are my 2 go-tos, now that you know how to use the shape tool, you can go ahead and just have fun coming up with new ways to showcase data. In this video, we will go over the distribution tool, and this is essential when it comes to making your presentation look nice. Let's say that I wanted to show a 5-star restaurant. P.S. These stars were made using the same shapes method that I showed earlier. Now, as you can see, the stars are not evenly spaced, so they look kind of whack right now. To go ahead and fix this, we can either do it ourselves manually by moving each star until they are evenly spaced, or we can get Google Slides to do it for us. We can do this by either dragging our mouse over the shapes to highlight all of them, Or we can individually select the shapes by clicking on them while holding down the Shift key. So that's the second method. Once we have it selected, we can go over to Arrange and hover above Distribute. Now I would choose horizontally because we want it spaced out across our slide. And as you can see, once you click on the button, Google Slides will automatically snap our stars so they were all evenly spaced. The key thing to know about the distribution tool is that it will distribute the objects evenly between the far left of the first object and the far right of the last object. So for example, if I move this last object slightly to the left and reapply our distribution tool by highlighting, going to Arrange, and Distribute again, you can see that it is no longer evenly distributed across our slide. The distribution tool spaces objects evenly between where the first object starts and where the last object ends. Another important formatting tool is layering/ordering. So in this video, you will learn to understand how to change the orders of objects. To demonstrate, I have a cluster of 3 objects here, and when we look at the shapes from top to bottom, our first layer is this yellow rectangle, which is also the closest to us. Our second layer is this blue circle, and our third layer is this green triangle. As of now, since the triangle is in the back, you can't really make out the shape since it's being blocked by these other 2 shapes. To bring it in front of both the circle and the rectangle, we will click on the triangle, right-click, and go to Order. Now we have the option to either bring it to the front or bring forward. Bring to the front means that we would bring it to the very first layer. Bring forward, on the other hand, means you will bring it up 1 layer. So, for example, if we were on the 3rd layer and we choose bring forward, that would bring the triangle to the 2nd layer, where it would still be blocked by the rectangle. Since I want the triangle to be in the 1st layer, I will choose bring to front. Now that the triangle is in the front, the layers go in order of triangle, rectangle, and circle. If I want to bring this rectangle to the back, I would click on the rectangle, right-click, and go to Order. Now, this backwards and send to back work in the same manner as the forward versus front. And since I am currently on the 2nd layer, where if I were to bring it backwards, it would bring it to the 3rd layer, which would be the same as bringing it to the back/the last layer. In this case, it really doesn't matter which option I choose. So I would just click Send Backwards. This ordering tool is actually really helpful and something that I use a lot, because objects just tend to overlap each other, and sometimes the object that you want to be shown is actually covered. But with this ordering tool, you now are able to fix it.